They don't need to control your actions. They just need to make sure you feel first. Because once you feel, you move. Once you move, they don't have to push. You've been taught that emotion is honesty, that reacting fast means you're in tune, that what rises first is what's real. It's not. It's just what's been programmed deepest. You feel fear and call it intuition. You feel anger and call it truth. You feel shame and call it conscience. But none of that is thought. It's reflex, a conditioned loop firing before your logic even wakes up, and the system counts on it. Because if they can get you to feel before you think, they don't need to convince you. You'll convince yourself. You'll rationalize, justify, explain, until the feeling becomes fact. But it never was. This is how you've been hacked, not through belief, but through sequence. They didn't change what you know. They changed what speaks first. And the voice that speaks first always owns the room. So what if you reversed it? What if emotion didn't lead? What if thought came first? What if no feeling had power until it passed through your filter? That's not detachment. That's engineering. Because the people who control environments don't feel first. They pause. They scan. Then they decide what's worth feeling at all. That's what comes next. We're not killing emotion. We're putting it back in its place, behind command. You don't decide how you feel. You feel then, you decide what it means. That's the problem. The emotional reflex system is fast. Too fast. It was built for survival, not for strategy. Trigger, emotion, meaning, action. 4 steps. No firewall. No filter. Someone disrespects you. You feel rage. You assign meaning. They think I'm weak. You react. Prove them wrong. But what if that disrespect wasn't about you? What if the rage wasn't even yours? What if the meaning was installed by past conditioning, not present logic? That's how the system keeps you in the loop. Not by force, by rhythm. Feel, mean, move, regret. And it happens everywhere. Example, you text someone. They leave you on scene. Your system kicks in. They're ignoring me. I must have said too much. Emotion, shame, action. Double text, apologize, over-explain, but nothing was confirmed. Only interpreted through reflex. Or you're in a meeting. Someone questions your idea. The voice in your head says, they're challenging my competence. Emotion, defensiveness, action, overtalk, interrupt, derail your own frame. You didn't lose control. You just never had structure. Because the more you feel first, the less you think clearly. And the less you think clearly, the more your reactions betray you. And you call that intuition. But intuition, without delay, is just reflex, rehearsed so many times. It feels internal. Most people don't know they're running ERS because it feels natural, feels personal. But so does self-sabotage. When it's been normalized long enough, they say, I'm just sensitive. I care too much. I overthink because I feel deeply. Number, you react fast because your system has no hierarchy, no pause, no structure, no control. Feeling isn't the problem. Sequence is. When emotion leads, logic becomes a defense. When logic leads, emotion becomes a tool. The next time something triggers you, don't ask, why do I feel this way? Ask, what's this emotion trying to make me do? And more importantly, is that action aligned with who I am? That question interrupts the loop. And once interrupted, the system loses power. Emotion doesn't disappear. It just waits until you choose what it means, instead of letting the feeling decide for you. Next, we build the interrupt layer, a weaponized pauser between the trigger and your truth. The fastest system always wins, unless you make it wait. Emotional reflex isn't dangerous because it exists. It's dangerous because it arrives first. The interrupt layer changes that. It creates space. It slows the signal. It reorders the hierarchy. And in that space, you take the power back. Here's how it works. Step 1. Label the signal. Don't become it. Say it. This is emotion, not instruction. Name the feeling, but don't let it tell the story. The moment you label it, you separate from it. Step 2. Delay the loop. 5 seconds. No action, no reply, no interpretation. Just pause. In those 5 seconds, the entire hijack system collapses because the system depends on speed. It feeds on instant reaction. When that's gone, it loses grip. Step 3. Scan the frame. Ask, what is this emotion trying to make me believe? Not what happened, not who's to blame, just the belief being planted. Because emotion always carries an idea, a message, an instruction. But not all instructions are real. Not all feelings are yours. And not all urgency is honest. When you delay, you break the illusion of truth. You expose the script. You realize the insult wasn't about you. The silence wasn't a threat. The discomfort wasn't danger. It was just sensation, waiting to be assigned meaning. This layer doesn't make you numb. It makes you dangerous. Because now your system doesn't move until you authorize movement. People won't know what changed. They'll just notice. They can't provoke you, can't decode you, can't make you explain. You don't react, you process. And that single shift makes you unreadable. But interrupting the reflex is only half the battle. Now you need to install a new default system to replace it. Because if you leave the gap empty, the old reflex will return. Next, we build that new internal architecture. So when the pause ends, clarity begins. Interrupting emotion creates space, but space without structure invites relapse. You don't just need a pause. You need a protocol, a subconscious system that activates before emotion takes the wheel. A logic-first operating code that makes feeling optional. That's where SLP begins. Subconscious logic protocols aren't about thinking more. They're about thinking first. By default, here's how you build it. Protocol 1. Substitution. You feel exposed. Old reflex. Protect. Explain. Overcompensate. New response. What part of me feels exposed? And what part of me is still intact? Focus shifts from defense to internal reinforcement. Protocol 2. Compression. Something triggers you. You want to build a narrative. Don't. Compress it. This equals data. That's all. No insult. No offense. Just input. Keep it simple. Remove story. Reduce emotions room to expand. Protocol 3. Action filter. Every impulse must pass one question. Does this build leverage or just express pain? If it doesn't create strategic advantage, it's noise. Don't move. Don't speak. Don't validate the signal. These protocols aren't cold. They're calibrated. They don't kill emotion. They reroute it until it serves you. And soon, you stop being confused about what to say. You stop overthinking what they meant. You stop wondering why you feel off. Because now, emotion is raw material, not architecture. And logic becomes your primary language, your baseline, your first translator, before any move is made. You don't act to relieve pressure. You act to increase control, not over others, but over yourself. And that makes you untouchable. Most people leak emotion because they don't have a system to hold it. Now you do. But that system needs silence, stillness, space to stabilize. If you rush to react, you weaken the code. So next, we eliminate movement. We install behavioral stillness and make it louder than any emotional noise they try to provoke. They expect movement. They expect signals. They expect you to reveal something. When you don't, they lose control. Stillness isn't weakness. It's pressure. It's what makes them talk more, reveal more, unravel. Because silence crée distorsion. And in distortion, the manipulator gets exposed. You don't flinch. You don't explain. You don't correct misreadings. You let the misunderstanding become their own confusion loop. This is behavioral stillness, not passive, not neutral, engineered. Technique 1, emotional ghosting. Feel everything, show nothing. The emotion passes through, but it doesn't exit in action. It dissolves inside a private system that answers to no one. Technique 2, delay signature. When asked to respond, you don't react. You respond after logic filters it. Not instantly, not emotionally, just with cold, intentional delay. That pause makes your presence feel heavier, less readable, more calculated. Technique 3, still frame impact. Every situation has a frame. The person who moves least stabilizes the frame. You hold still. They scramble to interpret, and in that scramble, they reveal their strategy. Stillness isn't silence. It's compression. You don't give energy to what doesn't deserve reaction. You don't owe clarity to anyone who tries to trigger emotion for access. You've reversed the flow. Now they overthink. Now they overreach. Now they chase clarity. You never promised. Because when stillness becomes default, you become unreadable. And unreadable minds are uncontrollable. No emotional tells, no fast reactions, no energy leaks. You become a closed circuit, unreachable, untriggerable, undeniably in control. From here, you don't need to say you've changed. They'll feel it. They'll adjust. Or they'll break against your silence. The only thing left is to make this system permanent, not something you remember, something you default to. We finish it next. Every time you pause, you rewrite the code. You don't destroy the emotion, you demote it. Emotion stops being the engine. It becomes the passenger. This is where reprogramming begins. You're not trying to feel less. You're training yourself to think first. By default, without effort, without delay. It starts with conscious substitution. A trigger hits. You don't ask, how do I feel? You ask, what's the frame behind this signal? You replace I'm hurt with I'm being pulled into a response loop. You replace I need to react with what reaction would serve them right now. You don't suppress. You reframe in real time. Then comes compression. Every stimulus gets shortened, labeled, filed. No story, no spiral, no unnecessary energy. Data only, signal only. Everything else is discarded. And finally, you install filters that run in the background, microsecond audits. Each reaction passes through a test. Does this serve strategy or sensation? If it's just relief, you wait. If it's just familiar, you question. If it's manipulative, you sever. Over time, your brain adapts. Neurons shift. Old loops dissolve. New ones form. You stop asking what's right. You start asking what's clean. Clean decisions. Clean logic. Clean distance. And that cleanliness becomes presence. People feel it. They hesitate. They think twice. Because they're no longer interacting with your emotion. They're facing your architecture. You no longer leak reaction. You release signal. Only when it serves frame. Only when it reinforces command. You become the filter, the firewall, the final gate. And now, nothing gets through without your permission. All that remains is to anchor this reflex. So when pressure comes, you don't remember what to do. You default to it. We seal the system next. Final CTA. You don't need to feel less. You need to feel later. Because when emotion speaks first, logic gets reduced to clean up crew. And when logic becomes an afterthought, you no longer own what happens next. Someone else does. They provoke. You react. They watch. You explain. They win. You weren't overpowered. You were sequenced. You moved in the wrong order. That's all it ever was. This is where it ends. From now on, you pose. You don't justify it. You don't explain why you're quiet. You let the silence rewire the system. Every pause is a reprogramming, a line of new code, a disruption in the loop. The next time you're triggered, you don't ask, "Why do I feel this way?" You ask, "Who benefits if I don't delay this?" Because urgency is a trap. Reaction is a trap. Emotion without delay is the oldest trap in the world. Here's your challenge. For the next 24 hours, no instant reaction. Not to tone. Not to disrespect. Not to pressure. Feel it. Label it. Hold it. Let logic run the diagnostic. Let clarity write the response. And if clarity never comes, you say nothing, because no movie is better than the wrong one. And silence is better than a script you didn't write. You don't get stronger by resisting emotion. You get stronger by reversing its place in the chain. First thought, then feeling, then action. That's the new hierarchy. And the more you enforce it, the less of you gets lost. In moments you didn't command. It's not about being cold. It's about being unreadable until you choose to be understood. Pause. Think. Then move.